Hi, this is Linda Richardson, and in this video, we're going to talk about strategy, risk, issues, and crisis management. Now, this is not intended to be a very in-depth video because we're going to be scanning the issues here. So let's start with the importance of strategy. Corporations start with a strategic plan. The strategic plan usually lasts anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10 years. The strategic plan breaks down to a tactical plan, tactical meaning tactile, which we can touch and feel. Those are the things that we're going to carry out that manage the strategy. So let's start with strategy, which is a good indicator of performance. The people who lead our companies have a strategy in mind. It is their vision, and it's important because they're the people who are leading us to tomorrow, next year, the next 5 years. If they're committed to and confident in their strategy, their company tends to grow faster and they're more profitable because as an individual they are invested. Not necessarily invested in stock, although they probably are. They're invested as a person in the growth of this company. PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a large accounting house, introduced StrategyWorks, which includes a strategy profiler. What does that look like? Well, not to diminish how important it is. This is just an overview of what the strategy profiler is, and it profiles individuals and groups. And it assesses, analyzes, and advises. So let's look at the individual here. In terms of assessment, it gives insight to the strategic style of an individual. This is important when we're looking at the style of leaders and managers. It analyzes their potential strengths and weaknesses to identify potential. We need to understand, and the leader or manager needs to understand their strengths and weaknesses as well. We call this emotional intelligence. What am I really good at? What are things I need to work on? I don't like the word weakness. I like opportunities to improve because I believe that everybody has an opportunity to improve in most areas of their life. And finally, to devise a program for developing a more robust strategic leadership profile. When they have learned more about who they are as a strategic manager, then they are able to manage their behavior to be able to accommodate the behavior of others. This is very important when we're dealing with a lot of our stakeholders. We have folks that are easily to accommodate and others who are not. Now, in terms of the group, in terms of assessment, we match our strategy style differences between units and/or firms. Within a company, we have different departments, divisions, subsidiaries, and so on, and they have their own strategic plan. We have to map the differences between them to be able to come up with a cohesive plan that will allow our company to move forward. We analyze it by looking at the conflict, the style conflicts, not bad conflict. This is positive conflict between the units and their firms. And we develop an approach to deal with and make use of the differences. In other words, we capitalize on the knowledge that we have and what can make us stronger. The strategy profiler can be used at different times. In terms of training, it maps the styles of a group. Training is an excellent investment in all members of a company, and to be able to use the strategy profiler helps us understand how we contribute. As an individual assessment, it can analyze our individual strengths and areas of improvement. For coaching, now that I know what my strengths and my areas of improvement are, I can work with my mentor and/or my coach to determine how I can build upon my strengths and shore up my weaknesses. And for an organizational analysis, it pinpoints whether the firm is stuck somewhere and whether there's a stark difference between individuals, units, and alliance partners. We have to align these differences in terms of style so that we can work together. Enterprise level strategy is right at the top. It's the overarching strategy level that peruses such basic questions as, what is the role of our organization in society? And what do we stand for anyway? As will be evident in our discussions later, this encompasses the development and articulation of corporate social policy. Who are we? What do we stand for? What do we stand behind? Now, I want you to look in our module at the UN Global Compact, and we're going to take a look at that right now. Let me scroll down here to the UN Global Compact, because I really want to show you this. I consider it to be a very important piece in the work that we're doing. Let me find this for you. And I'm looking at our module right now. Okay, well, let's click on this here. There we go. Now, the UN Global Compact is a very important piece of information for us because the United Nations has spent a lot of time determining what is important in our world, and they have invited corporations from around the world to participate in the Global Compact. Let's start with who we are. They have a number of focus areas, and they ask companies if they would like to join the United Nations Global Compact. Looking at what it is, the SDGs, the Strategic Development Goals. And we have them in various organizations here. Let's go to there we go. SDGs, explained for business. We have 17 SDGs, and let's take a look at what they are. The first one is to end poverty. That's a rather lofty goal, but it's something that can happen if corporations around the world are dedicated to working in that direction. Zero hunger, direct alignment with no poverty. But we are experiencing a number of countries around the world now who are basically starving to death. Good health and well-being, that around the world we need to ensure that everyone has the opportunity for health and well-being. Not only just women and children, but in our health in general. A quality education. Education is important for everybody, and it should be made available to all. We never know where the next great idea is going to come from, where the next great leader is going to come from. Businesses need to engage in education because it's an investment in their people. Gender equality becomes very important as well. Not every country around the world values gender equality as we do in our country or some of the other countries around the world. Is it important? We think it is. But we need to also work with countries who feel it is not as important. Clean water and sanitation is very important, and if you explore YouTube, you will see a number of countries that do not have clean water but do the best they can, and that becomes a health issue for the people in their country. Affordable and clean energy allows us for sustainability also to continue to manufacture and produce products that we can import and then, of course, export to match with what we are producing to provide a more profitable product. Decent work and economic growth. We need to work with our folks, and this goes back to training, which we talked about earlier, to allow our people to become more productive and to be able to earn a better living, which will provide for their families. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Infrastructure is an important consideration. Even in the United States, look what we're doing with our highways. Our infrastructure has fallen apart. We have bridges that are falling. Look at Baltimore. We have a bridge that was hit by a ship and the bridge fell in only because it was in fair condition and it wasn't brought up to the most recent standards. Infrastructure is very important in all aspects of our work. Reduced inequalities. We need to work towards human rights, women's empowerment, indigenous people rights, and so on. Sustainable cities. Again, our cities need to become very safe and sustainable. And we need to work together to provide laws, policies, and so on to allow people to live in a safe environment. Looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, To have a roof over our head is the very bottom, but safety and security is the second one up. We need responsible consumption and production. We need to stop wasting. And how do we go about doing that? Climate action. No matter where you stand on this, we are having issues with our climate. Global climate warming is a real thing. And it's becoming something that all countries around the world need to pay attention to. Life below the water is also very important. There are many resources that we have in our oceans and lakes. The oceans are having issues right now because they are warming. And so those sea animals that were used to living in very cold environments are finding that they can no longer live there because it's warming, and that's not sustainable for them. The same is true with life on land. We are finding that we've had more fires than we've ever had before. We're seeing snowstorms in areas where we have never seen before, and this will damage, if not ruin, the life that we have in our ecosystems. Peace and justice in our strong institutions. We need to find a way to work together, and we're at a point in our systems where things are not working as well as we would like to see them work. And then partnership for our goals. How do we work together for sustainable development? How can we agree on things? All right, so going back, this link is also in our module. What are B corporations? Well, I'm glad you asked about that. A B corporation is a corporation that, a company pays into it to become a B corporation. It means that they have investigated many aspects of their company to understand whether they are working towards all areas of stakeholder responsibility. So let's take a look at this website. And I will bring this over for you to look at. All right, so a number of companies are B corporations. They have unifying goals, represent almost 1 million workers, over 8,500 companies, 97 countries. A company needs to invest in the B corporation movement. In other words, they need to put a fee on the table, and then they need to pass through many gates, through the standards here, to become a B corporation. As you can see here, let's look at the standards. They have to become an independent global multi-stakeholder group, continuous improvement with B Lab standards. In other words, they have to consistently be working towards developing more and developing more jobs, developing sustainability. They have to evaluate the potential negative impacts of the work that they're currently doing and be honest about it. They have to take action on misconduct, which does happen in many companies. They have to adapt and advance the performance requirements of a certification. It doesn't just stop with achieving the certification. They have to consistently be moving forward. Okay? And back up here about B corporations, there's more about the certification process, finding a B corporation. And I find this to be very interesting because there are a lot of companies in here who are certified, but we've never heard of them before. Okay? Certified B corporations around the world. All right. And I do have videos about B corporations in our module. I'm going to stop right here and we'll start up again in our next video.